Video is up. Video is pinned. Should we good to go? Yeah, Julie, I sent you too many TikToks. I always send her like one minute.
I hear you on the audio on Facebook.
You're shaking your head over there. I don't like that.
It's like double audio.
Can you hear me?
Well, it's still catching up, but it sounds like the opening is in the background and wasn't coming through the board.
At first, I don't think it was. I changed it.
Yeah, it's not coming through the microphones.
Right now?
Yeah. It's definitely not coming through the microphones.
No, it's echoing.
All right, guys, hang on. Let's get a little. There we go. That's why. See, this is JC's last show tonight. I think that's why he dropped the ball and everything.
Well, I came late,
good
so
thing,
it's my
good
fault.
thing we started, though. We're working out the kinks before we start
It's
the
catching
show.
up. There we go.
All right.
You're good.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. I'm going to put you back down. All right. Sounds good?
Yep.
All right. I'm getting ready to start the show then.
You want to run the open again?
No, I'll fix
You're
it.
gonna do it. Take two.
Yeah. Hey, Jillian, take notes on that clap. I love it when he does that. All right, we're ready to go. Welcome to the Gaining Fast on Memphis podcast. Each week, we connect melodies and memories with fans, artists, and motivated individuals in and around the music community. I'm your host, Aaron Schreiber.
Yeah, there's still something going on.
Oh,
That's right.
There's two sources open, it sounds like.
what about now?
Give it a second.
It takes a minute to catch up.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely something else open.
Where are we getting our source from?
I don't know.
Because the guest is muted. Let us know how
All right,
the
now
audio
let's-
is on
now-
everybody's end.
Let's talk here. Hello, 1 2, check 1 2.
Yeah, let me know. Sorry, guys. We like to work everything out before we really get the show started. Make sure we're all good to
All
go.
right, you're sounding good.
Okay.
It's
We all caught up?
All right, I think we're all caught up.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better now. Jillian approves. So,
All right. I'll start the read from the top. There
all
we
right, take 3.
I think you're good.
Welcome to the Gaining Fast on Memphis podcast. Each week we connect melodies and memories with fans, artists, and motivated individuals in and around the music community. I'm your host, Aaron Schreiber. Tonight we are presented by our good friends at Arlo Revolution, cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them at arlorevolution.com. Our on-screen sponsors are Joel, Art on Hardwire by Joel, original custom artwork inspired by your life moments, treasured photos, and memories. You can find her all over Facebook. And huge shout out to Corey Oliphant and the original church choir. Each week I'm honored to have them as a guest or a special sponsor, but it's going to be cool tonight because we're going to have a lot of cool church stories tonight. I feel like, I don't know, we're going to go on a few rabbit holes, but we thank all of our sponsors for continuing support and growth of the show. If you're looking for ways to support the show, check out our Patreon. Tiers start at just $1. We do have room for advertisers and sponsors over there. So definitely check it out. You can see your logo displayed on the screen or in the show notes each week. If Patreon is something you can't do, wherever you're watching the show tonight or listening back to it, if you could like, share, review, and subscribe. iPhone users, definitely, if you could give us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, really, really huge to help us kind of push the show forward and kind of get us going. But if you're listening to us on a streaming site, come back on Tuesday night. We're live every Tuesday. You could join us Facebook, YouTube, interact with each guest, ask questions, have fun, all that good stuff. So, all right, guys, we're going to hurry up and drop this real quick before we bring on the guest and our tonight's guest. But I announced this month's Patreon. So if you guys are a member of our Patreon, get over there and check it out because I'm going to do a nice little Ray Fulcher prize pack, another autographed book from Jeremy Spillman. If you've not read this book, phenomenal. Check it out. If you don't know Jeremy Spillman, check him out. So he's a huge songwriter in Nashville and a lot of good stuff. So got good audio over there? You were looking at the board weird.
I'm just trying to make sure that my last night here is a good one.
All right, guys. So this show, I got all these notes, but hey, this show tonight has been a long time coming. I've been trying to get Ray on for probably about a year now. We just haven't really had the schedules meet up. So for our season 3 finale, I am really honored to welcome in singer-songwriter Ray Fulcher on the show. Ray is fresh off a huge announcement, is on top of his game right now. You ever see a bullet come flying out of a gun? Because once this pandemic is over, I swear it's going to be Ray Fulcher. I mean, he's just going to be flying out of it. But his career is just going to explode very soon. I can't wait to discuss his journey to Nashville, his drive for country music, and his passion for Eric Church. So we're going to go ahead and welcome Ray on. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Audio's good. I'm great, man. I'm so glad to hear you.
Hey.
So we were nervous at first because I was like, what is going on with our audio? But we got it worked out and you're on.
Man, yeah, thanks for having me. It's cool that I can see all the comments stuff too. What's up, Leanne, Cheryl, Paula? I see a lot of
yeah, so I'll be able to put all that on screen. If anybody has any questions throughout the night, ask them in the chat. We'll be able to throw them up for Ray to be able to see. Yeah, it's going to be a cool show. I pulled a lot of good pictures, man, just to show your career from kind of where it started to where it is now, where this picture was recently taken. But dude, I want to throw it all the way back. Kind of back to your earliest musical memory, dude. When you're growing up, your parents, what were you guys listening to around the house?
Man, so the earliest song that I remember hearing was Oceanfront Property. And me and my dad were on the way to, I remember distinctly, I mean, I was probably, and this is the first one I kind of remember going, man, I love this song. It was Oceanfront Property. And we were on our way to put up deer stands and Harlem. And old 1985 Ford F-150. And I just remember, holding from property in Arizona. And I was just hooked, on country music from a real small age. So,
dude, that is awesome. What was your parents like influence you on? Like, what were they kind of bringing to the table?
So my dad, we always it was like country radio was just kind of the background thing when we would go, driving or whatever. But at home, I mean, I remember my dad, he loves, Merle Haggard and the George Jones and Vern Gosdin and those guys, and my mom, but he also had an affinity for like Motown music, like the Temptations and the Four Tops and Sam Cooke and going down the line. And then my mom on the other side, she always listened to country radio, kind of just had it on in the kitchen and stuff. But also, she listened to like Elvis, Al Green, which kind of, more of the soul kind of soul type stuff, and Aretha Franklin. And I just remember kind of all that stuff. But also as I, in the late 80s, I remember hearing some of like the 80s kind of pop stuff, like Go West, like the King of Wishful Thinking, like that kind of stuff. And,
oh yeah, man.
Baby, you're a rich girl, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place. And I was, the first one that I remember that kind of really dug into what was on country radio instead of just seeing it as a just background music. Matt Washington, what's up, my man from Harlem, Georgia?
Hell yeah, man. I saw that. I saw the hometown up there. So do you remember your first concert you ever went to?
You know what, man? Like growing up, we didn't really I never went to it. I like the first ones that I remember going to where I go that I truly remember going to were when I was not until I went to college at University of Georgia, and I started going to Georgia Theater. Yeah. And having to get the stamp on my hand because I was under 21 and stuff. But they let you in at 18.
Oh yeah,
but, I mean, and that's where I fell in love with the live music stuff. And
I bet you saw some really good Corey Smith shows there then too.
Yeah. So my first show that I remember seeing, that as far as my memory goes is like real concert was a Corey Smith. So,
that's awesome, man.
Wow,
yeah, when I moved to Mississippi, I think we moved down in 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And I think the first week I was there, I discovered Smith. I was like, dude, this guy is phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Like wishing I was 21, like that song 21, and then it's over and just stuff like that is like, I mean, that was the soundtrack of my first couple years in college. Really, was that kind of that album, whatever.
Oh yeah, man. I could see. I mean, I was definitely a little past the college years when I first started hearing him, but I can be like, dude, I was him going back to those college bars and still hanging out. And dude, that was just, I don't know. I loved his lyrics back then. I really think, or I hope one day he'll get the shot again. But hey.
Right, I hope so.
But yeah, man. So doing all that, and that's where, well, kind of your love for music discovered. I mean, so 2006, you walked in once again, Georgia Theater, discovered church, and you were hooked. But what was the song, man? I mean, you already knew How About You going in. What was kind of like,
So
what you leave with?
I knew How About You, and I knew that he was new on the radio and stuff, but I didn't know what, I didn't know anything about his album. My friends that got his album was like, hey, we think you like this guy. And I remember even almost being reluctant, like, because I'll even be honest on the podcast, like, How About You is not one of my top 10 Eric Church songs or even singles.
Yeah.
So that one at the time, without knowing what I was about to know about church, didn't knock my socks off. So I was like, well, I'll go to this thing. They say I love him. So I remember about, 5 or 6 songs in that big energetic show. I remember, I don't remember any of those first songs, but I remember loving his, the type of stuff he was doing and going like, I'm going to get this record. Like, I like this guy.
Yeah, man.
But the moment came was when he sent the band off stage, and he played a couple songs acoustic, and and honestly, I couldn't tell you anything about the set list that night except this one song, and it was, he said, I wrote this song about a man on death row.
Yeah.
My ears kind of perked up because I was like, wait a second, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
But then he played Lightning, and I remember sometime in the middle of that song going, I can't relate to to the character in this song.
Yeah.
But somehow I felt the emotion of what that guy was going through, and I was like,
Yeah. You get lost in it.
And I got lost in it, and I remember going, wait a second. It almost opened this portal of like what music was supposed to be for me.
Mm-hmm.
So from then on, I mean, from that moment, he's been my hero and inspiration. But also, a light bulb went off in my head and was like, and at the time, obviously, I wasn't, crazy enough to think that, oh man, I'm going to be him one day or whatever. I was just like, I got to go pick up a guitar and at least learn. And
Oh yeah, man.
if it's just to learn that song or just whatever. And then I went and bought a guitar, and, I started trying to pick around a little bit and play some songs. And then a couple years later, I played my first show at a little Athens Cuban place called Cali and Tito's, which is still my favorite sandwich in the world, just in the corner over there. And I thought it was, it felt like Madison Square Garden, so, but yeah, I mean, from that moment on, it was church kind of was my true north for what country songwriting should be. So.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love the story with Lightning too, just how he watched the Green Mile and then just went and said, I'm writing a song about it. And he was so moved about it. And I just love the whole thing about that song. And like I told the story before. I don't know if you know the story yet or not, but GAC refused to play the video after like a week or two. They had it for like a week or two, and they shut it down. They refused to play it. And then they had like Tuesday Night Opry that GAC used to do live on TV, and it was at the Ryman. And Church had 2 songs. The first song he did with the band, I was just probably like, How About You or whatever. Then he sent the band off, just like you said. And dude, my wife and I, we sat in there all the way up top, and he played Lightning. You could hear a pin drop in that building.
Oh my God.
It was live on TV, and he played that song. It's just a big FU to GAC. And I'm like, I mean, that's when he was really started. That's when he's pissing people off back in the day.
Yeah, and he's carried that with him. He's just like, I'm on my way.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I see that with you, dude. I see a lot of that trickling down to you. I mean, especially like we were talking a little bit before we went on air, like you're really happy with your record deal. So you just past February, if you guys don't know, you guys are tuning in, Ray just announced a huge record deal, which coming from what was it, Black River Entertainment.
Yep. And
one of the coolest things I like about all of this is you're producer of your debut album. So a full circle moment for sure, because you've been following Church since 06. So another one, when you think of Eric Church, you think of Jonathan Singleton.
Yep.
Him and his band used to open up for Church. I still remember Rick's Cafe, Starkville, Mississippi. I saw Singleton and on a stool and just by himself opening for Church one day. But when you get him to produce your album, dude, how badass is that? And just,
man, it was so cool. I mean, what was neat is, the way I met Jonathan was, we used to play. I used to play this thing on Tuesday nights a lot, and still do play it sometimes. It's called Revival down on Tin Roof on Demumbrian, right there in Midtown Nashville. And they would always, Jonathan, if you ever get a chance to meet him, please do, because he's one of the best people I ever met in my life. But one thing about him is he understands the music community and that it's founded on songwriters, and so he always is playing those shows and supporting his buddies and playing with his friends and stuff. And and at the time he had a handful of number ones, and obviously everybody knew who he was. And so he came in one night and played, sat up on the pew and played some songs. And I'm just like in awe of this guy. Like, would never approach him. And so a couple times, maybe the next time he was there, I was playing a song, or I went up there and played around, and afterwards I saw Jonathan was in the crowd and stuff, and and somehow I kind of got over beside him, and he was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He's like, we ought to write sometime and stuff. And I was like, thinking he was looking at somebody behind me or something, and because this is Jonathan Singleton, like almost, sort of legendary in town. And but yeah, he was talking to me, man, and we wrote for the first time, I guess, back in, I don't know, 2018, I guess. And he became a fast, not just collaborator, but a fast friend. I had stayed a friend. And then when I got ready to kind of start making my own music, I had put out some stuff, and when I first moved to town, that I just kind of produced. I didn't know what I was doing, but I tried my best. But when I finally got to the point where I felt like I wanted a producer, it was like he was at the top of the list. So one day I called him. I think it was later. I met him early 2018, late 2017. It was probably mid 2018. I called him and said, "Hey, you want to, I'm thinking about putting out some songs, man. I'd love to have you produce them. And I know that you got bigger stuff going on, so I totally get it if if it's being at time or whatever." Almost apologizing for asking. And like, man, I've been waiting on you to ask me this for 6 months.
Hell
Yeah. And then, so we did that first thing, and the first, that I would say the first thing, but that EP that came out in 2019 with Anything Like You Dance and Somebody Like Me and stuff on it. And,
yeah.
created this different sound that was unique to me, and we kind of tried to keep that up. And man, he's so cool. He's obviously got a lot going on. He's busy and stuff, but
He's so chill, dude. He's always so chill.
Chill, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, I love talking with Singleton, just hearing his stories, and because he has so much knowledge, and I like, because you hear his style, and you can hear his style in everybody he works with. You'd be like, oh, that's Singleton's work, and you could tell that. And it's just something, it's kind of cool, and not many people could get that. Not many producers have that. So I liked what he's doing. And he was always he always was a behind the scenes guy. He never really wanted the whole artist thing. He always wanted to kind of just chill and do his thing. He's loving it right now.
Yeah.
But damn, dude, I love seeing him perform every now and then. Did you ever get to see him perform with his band?
So I've seen him perform with like he's done some stuff over in like West Tennessee, and I've seen him, never like the full production thing with a crowd and stuff. I hadn't.
Nice. Yeah, he every now and then they'll get some bands or he'll band it together back in Jackson. I'll go see a show over there when he's there, and man, dude, they still rock.
Oh yeah, they do.
But so man, yeah. So you shortly after you graduated, we wind a little bit. Shortly after you graduated college, you moved up to Nashville in 2014. How'd you get hooked up with Luke Combs? That's something I know it was really huge for you.
Well, yeah. So I moved, I'll never forget. I moved in May 12th of 2014, and my birthday was 3 days later. And so I didn't know anybody in town. I knew one person, and I had met him once. So we call that knowing somebody. But anyway, but I did see that John Langston moved to town on the same, fun fact, me and John Langston moved to town on the same exact day in 2014. And so I just sent him a message and was like, "Hey man, I don't really know you, and you don't know me, but I don't know anybody here. And I saw you move the same day, and I know you're from Georgia and all that. You want to go you want to go eat for my birthday? I know it's weird." He was like, "Yes, I know nobody, so let's go and do that." So we went to eat. And while we were there at Buffalo Wild Wings, by the way, John goes, "Hey, I got this buddy coming in town to record a few songs. He's staying on my couch. Let's go hang out with him in the apartment." So I did. We did, and we walked in the door, and it was this big guy from North Carolina. He was Luke Combs, and in 2014, it was like we had just met. Hey, what's up? And we exchanged numbers that night, hung out for a little while, but then he, was still living in North Carolina. So, but when he moved back to Nashville in that September, I was one of the few people that he had ever met. So he hit me up and we started hanging out. And, next thing I know, I'm at his house playing Madden and stuff. He likes to play video games. And so that's kind of how we just started as a friendship. And then probably the top of, late 2014, the top of 2015, we started writing every Tuesday. And we just, man, it's one of those things where you just have chemistry with people, like in the song, and sometimes you can build that over time and sometimes you may not have it, but then other times it's like immediate. And for me and Luke, it was immediate because the things that were important to us in a song and the type of songs we wanted to write were very fluent. And that's just by happenstance, and so, or fate, whatever you want to call it. But,
how long did it take you to discover you guys were both diehard church fans?
Oh, so when he moved in September,
Mm-hmm.
he moved back. I think I reconnected with him at one of those nights at Revival.
Yeah.
We were there's like a little porch outside and we were out there and, we were talking about, I talked about being a church fan. And he's like, well, dude, he got me back into country music. Like, he's my guy. He's my hero. And then we would do this thing where we would try to stump each other. Like, I bet you don't know this song. Be like, then it'd say a lyric and be like, oh yeah, well, I bet you don't know this one. And then we quickly realized that, like, we found the two biggest church fans in town. So,
dude, a church off between Combs and Fulcher, and
yeah.
I could be a fly on the wall. Come on now.
Just going like back to the, the church's Chevy van,
Hell yeah, man.
like, faster than my engines can fly and stuff like that.
That's when you drop like old friends on them, old whiskey. Be like, I'm gonna drop this one on you, dude.
Like stuff only on the live, recordings and all that. So,
yeah, dude, I love it because on the live one when he does Memphis Melody, he always shoots me out he shot me out at the very end of that and he caught it on the live album. So I'm like, dude, I just listen to it on repeat all the time. Yeah. I was like, I love this shit. But yeah, that's what I love about like just personable artists and you're a lot like that, dude. Like you interact a lot with your fan club on Facebook,
yeah,
and you're very active with your fans. And doing shows like this with your fans are active. I've seen a couple great questions in the chat. I'm going to save a couple minutes at the end and throw them up there for you guys. But amazing stuff. But what to you is building a fan base mean to you? I mean, because I know Church, he started with the grassroots, man. Radio turned his back on him, so he really didn't have much. But for you, building that fan club, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think that's, watching how he did it, not only with the music, but also how he treated his fans and how, the grassroots stuff thing is those are the people that, started from the beginning and believed in you for a long time. It's like, nurturing those people, it's like, it can't help but multiply because it's like symbiotic relationship. It's like, I want you to be a fan, but I want to give back to you as well. And I think hopefully from a fan's perspective, they feel that and if they're locked into your music and believe in it, it's like, the music I'm making is for those fans, and so the ones that have believed in it for a long time, believed in my vision and who I want to be as an artist. And I think if you can cultivate that, in those relationships, because that's what they, especially in like the fan club, it's like relationship, so, yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think it's very important to kind of, highlight and prop those people up because they're the lifeblood of what I do. So.
Yeah, you got a huge fan base too. I've got to actually interact with them over the last couple of days since I announced this show. So it's really cool and awesome. Everything else kind of get to interact with them and meet them. And it's cool because it's building, it's more than music. It's something that Church would say on his Double Down tour. But I think a lot of people are really seeing that especially now after a pandemic, it's been more than music than the last year and a half because you guys have been kind of going live and and that's the only way you have to kind of connect. Are you gearing up and ready to go this year? I know fall you're supposed to be back out on the road again, but are you excited? Do you think it's going to happen?
I think so, man. I'm really crossing my fingers, and we're about to go on, probably go on radio tour here soon, which will be awesome around the stations. And I want to take a second to answer this question. Favorite cover that's not Tim McGraw to perform? I love, and I saw that and I was thinking about it in my head, so I got to answer it.
Go ahead.
It's much too young to feel this damn old. Garth Brooks first.
Hell yeah.
It's just something about the way the chords flow and the melody and all is just something I've always loved. So anyway.
But you dropped out to Tim McGraw one. Don't mention Memphis. I was like,
Oh
damn,
my gosh,
I love that song.
probably listen to, so I get on those, it popped up on one of my playlists and stuff, and I was like, I'll go through I'll probably listen to it 5 times a day because it reminded me of it, so.
You said, I was listening, I was researching today and listening to some of your old podcasts, everything else. And you said something that was hilarious. I think someone asked you a question about like the last 5 songs you listened to, and you're like, oh, this one after all, or something about Chris. Oh, AM by Chris Young. I got to laughing. I'm like, because what was that one on my phone? That was always Neil McCoy. I would, every time I'd put it on, and Neil McCoy would just boom right in my speakers.
Just give me that away. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I started laughing when you said that because everybody has that first song that always pops up and they throw in, and then you do your year end and play like 100 times. Like, no, it didn't.
Right.
Changed it 5 seconds in. But yeah, it was kind of funny. So another couple things I've seen, kind of, you've been posting about. You've been hanging out with Driver Williams, so another Eric Church connection. Are you guys writing, or what's going on with all that, man?
Yeah. So I mean, me and Driver have become friends, and we're actually signed to the same publishing company for. So the people over here, a publishing company is basically a writing company, and a publishing deal, it's basically like it's like you're signing as a songwriter, and so they pay you a certain amount for you to write songs, and then y'all split the royalties and stuff. So anyway, he's signed to the same company that I am in that regard, and so, but what's cool is we do write together a bunch, but he's such a good friend and such a fun person to talk to, and one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've ever met, and just the sweetest dude ever. And yeah, we wrote last week, and we've got some couple of things that we're going to finish up soon that I'm really excited about for me, personally too.
Oh yeah, man. I know he had a cut on the Drew Parker album. I think he has a cut on the new on Church's new album. Yep. Sutherland, he has their new single out with them. So I'm like, man, I've seen Driver.
He's got a John Party song that was recorded too, I believe. Yeah. So.
And it all started with him just getting drunk on a bus and saying, "I'm going to drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke."
Yeah.
Has he ever told you that story?
Oh yeah. I made him tell me. I was like, the first time I wrote with him, tell me the story.
I always love that. Yeah, when I heard that Church tell that story about Driver and that song, I was just like, dude, that was just who he was, man. It's just like, what you can do tonight, dude? I'm just gonna chill and hang out, man. So, but dude, it's really cool, just kind of like seeing like your passion for music and the way you are as just an artist with your fans. I've always loved seeing that. A lot of things that people might not know, and I mean, I always try to find that stuff. But you graduate with a master's degree, dude. Yeah. Education. So tell me a little bit more about kind of like what you were gonna do maybe before music, or what you're planning on doing before music.
So let me get this question real quick. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You've written a lot of songs, Brittany White. You've written a lot of songs during quarantine. Do you plan on having an acoustic album? Not necessarily an acoustic album, but we do have some plans to maybe do some acoustic versions of songs here and there, and then maybe even some stuff that maybe never, some acoustic songs that are for just the fan club and stuff, and or at least that start just there. So. Not an acoustic album, but I do plan on some acoustic stuff. So thanks for asking that.
Brittany did have one more too I want to throw up while we're on it, but she said you wrote major hit songs with Luke Combs. She wants to know where your inspiration is coming from. So you're like, one of your first songs you wrote with Luke Burkan, which a lot of people know. Amazing song. But where has your inspiration came from a lot of these?
Well, that was the first song that me and Luke wrote together, was Burkan. Nice. But so for me, songwriting it's depending on the day, it's very different. Some days it's, because we're just like normal people, man. Life gets sideways. We have stuff happen, and like there's things in your life that draw inspiration that maybe you need to get out sometimes, or sometimes it's dang near like therapy. Other times, it's you wake up with just a melody in your head, and then like I said, sometimes you write what you're going through, or something that you have before, or like somebody's story that you've heard before, and it made you think about an idea. Mm-hmm. Other times you're just having some cold beers and you're like, let's write something fun. Then other times it's totally storytelling, where you just, like in When It Rains It Pours, it was let's have this guy have the best day that we can think possible. The best couple of weeks that we can think possible. So it just comes from a lot of different places, and I think for me, in order to stay inspired, I have to pull from different things, because some days you wake up and you're not what you would call inspired, but you got to go to work, you know, just like anybody else. So it's like finding different things. So
What was that noise? That upstairs? That's probably either my 4-year-old or my 6-year-old throwing something.
Somebody dropped something.
yeah.
I'm hoping grandma's okay.
It just came through on the stream. Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Oh, hey, great great answer to that question. Sorry about the ending. My wife's covering her face. She's taking over in 2 weeks for my sound guy, and she's gonna be when she's just like, oh God. So that's if grandma's still alive. I don't hear any more noise right now, so we gotta check on her in a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I think it's all right. I think you're all right.
All right, guys. But yeah, going back. So, like I was saying, a master's degree in education, and I know you wanted to do some coaching, but
Yeah. So, I mean, I always wanted to be in sports growing up, you know, and so for me, it was like the way that I can do that. And but I always loved history too. So the way to kind of mold those two together would be to teach and coach. And I went through it. I mean, I did the student teaching. I did everything. I went and got a master's for it. And it was, you know, but as I was getting the master's is when I started kind of playing out with a band in Athens. And then that's when kind of like, you know, I still didn't make good grades and did good in school, but that's kind of when my heart and my mind was thinking more and more about music. But also at the same time, the further I went, the harder that it became, because that was scary for me, because I was like, man, is this something I could do or couldn't do? And, you know, and so when I graduated, I just decided, hey, I'm not going to teach yet. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to go back home, and I want to find a job where I can play music on the side and like give this a shot. And if not a shot, just give me some more time to kind of figure this out before I jump into a career. And, you know, and to this day, I've never taught a day in my life. So
that's all. I'm a big hell of a coach too. So, but it's always, I mean, it's good to have a backup plan, man. I'm still wishing Church never had his, because he has definitely cost me a hell of a lot of money. But I mean, that marketing degree is paying off for him. So, right. But so a couple other things I kind of went through out there. You mentioned you're a huge sports fan, huge Braves fan. I'm a diehard Cubs fan. I really think Braves and Cubs back in the day were like the heartthrobs of America, because that's where they were all over TV.
Yep.
I'm a diehard Greg Maddux fan, so, and I'm sure
WGN and TBS.
Yep.
You know, so if you wanted to watch baseball, unless it was Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, you had to watch the Braves, the Cubs. You know. So,
yeah, when I moved down to Mississippi, and I was living down there, you could see it really heavy, because they don't have a baseball team, and like half the town was Braves, half of them were Cubs. I was like, this is so odd. Like from Chicago to Mississippi, and there's restaurants called like with the Cubs logo and stuff. So, yeah. But I learned what WGN was so nationwide that people just fell in love with it.
Right.
Yeah, Greg Maddux story. I was going to tell you that I learned just kind of doing some baseball stuff. So they always talk about autograph collectors and everything else in the sports world, and what I loved about this is Maddux, when he was on the Cubs, he used to always look at people's shoes. So when he would sign autographs, he wouldn't look you straight in the face, or anything. He'd look at shoes. And if the next day, if he recognized your shoes again, he wouldn't sign for you. And he'd wait like a week. And I was like, that is so phenomenal. So I figured you'd be a great fan of Maddux. I figured I'd drop that on you.
Well, he's always been very cerebral pitcher anyway. Smart guy. So, but I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, dude. Like I was just like, when I heard that, I was like, dude, that's just like who he was, dude. Maddux was just, like you said, he was this very smart guy. I'm like, damn, look down at someone's shoes, and wouldn't never know that, because people you don't have more than one pair of shoes, really. I mean, your everyday shoes.
Exactly.
So, all right, another thing I learned about you today when I was researching, you're a huge pizza fan. So I want to talk while you're on the road. You're out because you've been on the road a lot lately. That's going to lead into our next segment a little bit. Yeah. But where's some of your kind of your best pizza places you found out there, dude?
Man, there's I mean, in New York, I love being in New York, and honestly, there's not a place. It's just like there's any of like kind of the side street kind of portable pizza places that are just making the by the slice. That's where you want to be. It's like almost the more obscure looking the cart is, the better for the pizza for me in NYC. But then in Chicago, it's a different thing. It's the deep dish, and I think it's called, gosh, I'm trying to remember.
Luminati's.
No, it's well, I don't know if I've had that one. It's just
Yeah, I live outside Chicago. We it's Geno's,
Geno's East.
Illuminati's.
is it
Who
just,
knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
oh sorry, it's Geno's.
Geno's. Okay.
Geno's East. Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, those are I mean, those two cities are hard to beat,
Yeah.
pizza. But I mean, your boy likes a little frozen pizza too. I actually love frozen pizza. And
Hell yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's quick and easy.
yeah, and there's this like I think it's DiGiorno like thin crust if I'm not mistaken I think, and that it's like bad to the bone. I like it. It's I mean I would take that thin crust over some of the others that you can get. But honestly, I've never met a pizza I didn't like. So
Yeah. I'll have to one of these days if you ever get out this way. I don't know if they're still doing shows, but there's a place in Wheeling, West Virginia called Generations. I saw a church there years ago. But if you ever get to play around the Wheeling, West Virginia area, look up a place called, well, it's Patsy's now, but DeCarlo's Pizza. So
yeah,
it's the weirdest thing, but they only cook the dough and the sauce. And then when it comes out, they then put this cheese and pepperoni on it. And that's all they have is either cheese or pepperoni.
yeah.
And you got to buy it right there. And you can't sit down and eat it. But the goal is you got to eat it before the cheese melts, dude. And it's just phenomenal. So everybody's in the parking lot just kind of taking up things. So, but yeah, it's a great place, dude. If you ever get out that way, check it out. So, but yeah, I definitely want to talk about a little bit about that. If anybody has any more questions, we got a couple minutes before I move on to the next segment of the show. There's a little bit I wanted to talk about, but we're going to save that for before we introduce a song in a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see if anybody has it. Just forgetting all about Giordano's. Dude, we did forget about Giordano's pizza. That's
one of the better ones.
Awesome. Yeah.
Katie with the save. She's local here to Chicago. She's with the save. All right. Well, so we're going to go ahead and play a quick 20-second audio for our next segment, a sponsor audio. So if you want to refill your drink or anything, we're going to take 20 seconds and play this.
This episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Pod Decks. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddecks.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Fast on Memphis.
Yes, that's the code. Check out poddecks.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
You know I'm not going to change that when you leave, too.
Of course not.
My audio guy or my co-producer, he's moving to Texas in about a week. He's take a radio gig. So was it P? You're going to be the head guy, right?
Yeah, I'll be program director for KIXY in San Angelo, Texas.
There you go. You have to get some country guys out there one of these days.
Yeah.
All right. So Pod Decks is a cool little thing that we do where you pull a couple cards. Earlier, I pulled a couple cards for Ask Ray. The first one was for you. What are some of your biggest challenges of being on tour? Because I know you went from the Combs tour to the Wallen tour. You've been out on the road forever, going back out with Combs again. So what's your biggest challenges on the road, man?
There's one, driving, because we've been vanning it. We did a bus a couple of times for some of the loop stuff, but like back in 2017, for instance, we were and then in 2018 we were on the Wallen tour, and they were busing it and we were driving it. So it would be like get in bed at 2 a.m. and leave at 5:30 or 6, and for the 8-hour drive in a bus or in a van, 15-passenger van with 6 dudes. So I would say the travel, man, because it's like.
Yeah.
That's what I always say about playing music on the road is when you're playing, that's your break. Playing's the break. Playing's the fun part. It's the loading in, the loading out, the getting there, and all the logistics. That's what you get paid for, not playing. So but for me, it's just been the travel, just the van and stuff, and hopefully, we're making some strides. So hopefully I won't be driving the 15-passenger much. Well, I won't be driving that one because it's got about 380,000 miles on it, and I think it's seen its last mile. So it'll be in something different, no matter what it is. So
did you have a name for your van?
Yeah, Vanna Gramer. It was it's like a gray van, and we were tossing around names one night.
Yeah.
And great. Yeah. Somebody in the back was like, I think it was my drummer Tyson. He was like, let's call her Vanna, like Vanna something. And then somebody was like, Gramer, like Vanna Gramer. And we were like, that's it. So
My buddy had one, Jacob Stiefel, and he's a songwriter in Nashville, but he had one, Vanna White. It was just a big white van, and they call it Vanna White. So I always ask everybody, like, what is your van name? Because everybody had a name for their van, dude. So my second question, the second card I pulled is, do you have any musical influences that would come as a surprise to most of your fans?
John Mayer. I love his, and not that I can play like John. I don't think like the type of music is not what we make, but Jonathan and I talk a lot about the rhythmic type of guitar that he plays, and if you listen to some of the stuff, like the kind of behind the patterns in like Life After You're Leaving and like anything like You Dance, and especially in Down on My Window, those are very like John Mayer influenced guitar licks.
Oh yeah, dude, I love some John Mayer, dude. I'm trying to think if I have anybody that I'm kind of listening to right now. I don't know. I definitely explain. I started working this past year at a cannabis dispensary outside Chicago.
Yeah.
And so definitely my musical influences or musical taste has widened because I'm being introduced to a lot of things I haven't been to over the last couple of years.
Right.
So I'm definitely discovering a lot of new things that I kind of like. So that Jelly Roll guy has been pretty good lately. No, that's one that's been standing out, man. I've been loving some Jelly Roll lately, dude. So this guy, I love lyrics, man. I'm a guy that
Absolutely.
We talked about Corey Smith, Singleton, Church. I love a guy that someone that could paint a story with a song, dude. Drew Parker, dude. He's another guy that's doing this.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm loving some Drew Parker lately. So
he's a good buddy of mine. He's awesome.
But you guys have wrote, I know, a couple of songs together too in the past. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, is there anybody? Let's see. I don't have that.
I want an answer to this question for Brittany.
Ahead.
I want an answer to this question. Do you have a favorite guitar that you play?
Yeah. So actually, I have a new favorite guitar. I'm going to show you here that I only bought a few weeks ago, but it will definitely be the new stage guitar. So it's this black Gibson. It's a 19. So it's new, but it's modeled after the 1950s black Gibson that
that's beautiful.
That they only made for like a very short period of time, but they brought it back and Gibson's remaking it, and she's hot. So,
yeah, that's beautiful.
And I know for like the guitar nerds out there, they got the old school tuners like they used to make them on there, and then it's got the real. Also for guitar nerds, it's got the real kind of fat, what they call like baseball bat neck, like the old Gibsons had. So This is my new, baby. Yeah.
That is nice, man.
That's beautiful.
So
I got a thing for instruments. Sorry, when I saw that question, I'm just like, yeah, I got to know about the guitar.
Well, it was when Rob Williford's 45 that he had a 45 Gibson.
He had a 45 Gibson. Yeah, it was just, oh man, it's so rich.
Let me show you this one.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
She asked about the stage guitar, but this is a 1952 Southern Gibson. And fun fact that probably nobody knows. I don't know that I've ever told this story publicly, but Luke Combs gave me this guitar as a gift last year on my birthday.
Dude,
wow.
1952 Southern Jumbo, which is the same year my dad was born. So it's kind of cool how that lined up. He didn't do that. Just happenstance. So
that's awesome. I love that stuff.
There's another quick question in the chat. Clayton asked, what's the best guitar to buy for people just starting to play them? My answer would probably be a pawn store guitar, just something cheap, go at it, but let's hear what Ray have to say.
I mean, my first one was an Alvarez. It was like $110 or something like that. And but I mean, yeah, something like that, or like a Yamaha, it's just, I wouldn't spend a whole lot on your first one.
Yeah.
Cut your teeth on it for a while and stuff. And then, later on save up and get you something that you really, really want. So
did you take lessons or were you self-taught?
Man, I took lessons for about a month and I got really impatient. And then, so I got the very basics down. It really wasn't even playing chords yet, just kind of where my fingers went. And then just started sitting around with buddies that were better than me and just kind of watching them and learning, like watching their hands and stuff. And just, that's what I did.
That's what I love about guitar players is just watching their hands and seeing what they
Right.
do. Yeah.
Do you still remember the first lick you ever learned to play?
Yeah, it was that I don't even know if I remember it anymore, but it was that oddly enough, it was Pink Floyd, that Wish You Were Here. Ba-da-dum-bum.
Mine was Enter Sandman.
Awesome.
I had a Lotus Strat in like mid 90s. I was learning to play Enter Sandman on it. There was one more question before I guess I just saw this. Megan popped up. Do you have a favorite song off Singleton's 2013 album, The Getaway? I do.
Oh, Getaway. Is that one where Look Who's Back in Love?
No, that was the album that never happened. That was the one that never came out. The Getaway had Little White Lies on it. I don't know if you remember that one or not. It was
I love that song.
Yeah, that was mine. I remember when he was still out with the Grove, they played me Little White Lies, just like the demo tape of it. I was like, oh, dude, you better cut this one day. So, but yeah, that was one of mine off there. Probably a fan favorite for everybody's. All right, we're gonna move on to our hot seat. So I'm gonna ask 10 questions, dude. We're gonna try to do it in 60 seconds. First thing that pops in your mind, just spit it out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right,
Wow, that's loud.
your first cassette tape you ever owned.
Oh, Garth Brooks.
What's your hometown famous for?
Oliver Hardy.
Oh, all right.
Actor, black and white films actor.
What poster was on your bedroom wall in middle school?
Definitely Abercrombie Fitch model.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
The strangest thing you've ever seen in the middle of the road?
The strangest thing?
Mm-hmm.
A deer, a full-grown I couldn't tell the points. A full-grown huge buck asleep in the middle of the road when I came around a turn one night.
Damn.
Playing on the brakes, and he gets up, looks at me, and walks off. So,
Other than Lightning, what's the one song you wish you wrote?
ooh, there's a lot of them. I would say the one that comes to the top of my head right now is "Just to See You Smile" by Tim McGraw. I love everything about that song. So,
Hell yeah, man. What's one thing people buy that you think is a waste of money?
watches.
Nice. I like that answer.
Yeah.
What's the oldest item you own?
Oh, the oldest item I own. Probably that guitar behind me, or this one. Yeah.
Nice. All right. What's something that you think is, or what's something that's priceless to you?
Oh my gosh. Priceless to me. The sheet of lyrics that Eric Church sang on "Does to Me" that Luke in the studio that Luke gave me afterwards. Yeah.
I saw a picture of those. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's the oddest job you've ever taken to earn $1?
Oh, I used to work for a temp agency in Nashville to make money on the side from playing outside of shows.
Nice.
So one day one time we for about 5 hours or 500 tablecloths, I put them on and then afterwards took them off the table. So, yeah, pretty odd.
All right. Well, the last one is, what's something on your bucket list, man? Maybe like a venue you still want to play, something you still want to achieve in your career.
Venue, Red Rocks. My next goal in my career is having a #1 as a songwriter that I'm not singing on, and an artist #1 in the same year.
Nice, dude. Nice. So we're going to talk a little bit before we get into start playing some songs. The second song you're going to play would be "Does to Me." So before we go into that, but we're going to set it up a little. Tell me a little bit about "Does to Me" and really what it means to you having Church on this album, dude.
Well, so we wrote this song, and me or Tyler Reed, Luke Combs, and I wrote this song sometime early 2016, and we always, I can't remember whose idea it was, but we kind of pulled a little bit from each of our stories and made the lines up, and it's very special to us. But we always said right afterwards, we were like, you know what, the Chief would sound awesome on this. It just feels like something, a lyric gritty that he'd be into. Yeah. So, afterwards, at the time, there was no, Luke didn't have maybe he just got his record deal. I barely had a publishing deal, and Tyler Reeve had a publishing deal, but no pull there at Church. but we always brought that up every time that song got brought up. And, you know, every once in a while I would remind Luke, like, man, if you ever get a chance, you ought to let Eric just hear this song and stuff. So then in about 2018, you know, Luke had become kind of friends with Eric and at least had met him a few times and stuff. And then he called me one day and was like, hey, we're going to send Destiny over to Eric and see what he says. And so he lets me know that Eric loved it. And one day, you know, would be open to singing on it, like duetting with Luke. And so even that was like I was over the moon about. But if you know Nashville, you know that until it's recorded, there's no telling what can happen.
Oh yeah.
So, but I remember I think it was later in 2018, Luke called me one night while I was sitting at home and he goes, guess what? I was like, what? He goes, Eric effing Church just sang on Does to Me. It's a done deal. It's finished. And I remember like freaking out. I was eating Chick-fil-A or something at home and I was just getting up, like pumping my fist around the living room. And, you know, me and him are screaming on the phone. And, you know, because it's such a big deal because, you know, 12 years prior is when I watched him play Lightning and the dream started for me 12 years prior, you know. So, you know, couldn't imagine a more full circle moment. And then for it to be on the album and then for it to be out of country radio and be a 2-week #1 is just like, I mean, what else can you ask for? So
yeah. And then this gift that Drew Parker gave you, he told me about. I had Drew on in December, and he told me about this gift. It's the actual lyrics that Church sang on in the song. So
it's like the sound wave that you see on your kind of, and that exact sound wave that's on that piece of board right there is was Eric Church singing. It might not mean much to you, but it does to me in the kind of the bridge part that he sings. And so it's hanging up above my living room table right now.
Dude, that's so badass. Hey, he was telling us about it when he was on, and I was like, I guess there's only 2 or 3 of them his dad's done. He hasn't done many of them. I was like, that's cool though. They're really cool. All right, well, let's set up the first song you're gonna do, Girl in It. Then I'll have you do both songs back to back if you don't mind. But tell me about Girl in It, man.
Well, Girl in It is one where I learned I had learned a lesson already, and it reminded me.
Oh, and we lost Ray. That was my fault. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry.
You got a little click happy over there.
Yeah, I clicked the wrong button. God.
And we recovered the show so nicely from the beginning. Hang tight. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, hang tight, guys. I'm sorry.
We'll get him back.
I was trying. There we go.
There he is.
Sorry, man. I got a little click happy. I was trying to clear the church pictures, and your screen got X'd off, so I do apologize.
Oh, you good? Yeah.
All right. Back up with Girl in It. Sorry.
Yeah. So I had already learned this lesson, but it got reinforced this year with this song. So it was one of those days where I woke up and I was like, I had been writing, you know, a bunch of days straight, and I was just a little burnt, and I was like, man, the last thing I want to do is write. And these guys are my buddies. It was Eric Dillon and James McNair, and I was like, they'll be totally fine if like I cancel today. But I was like, you know what? Those guys are great writers, and like I may not have a great idea today. I might not feel good, but they might come in with a heater idea. So let me just show up. First, biggest part of writing is showing up to the room. So I get in there, and Eric Dillon has this hammer idea, and immediately I wake up and I feel like I've had 5 cups of coffee, and we wrote this thing in like an hour and a half. And I immediately knew. There's very few songs that I immediately know that I'm going to record.
Yeah.
But this was one of them. And I'm glad I did because it was you know, if I had to say if I had to narrow it down to one song that got the record deal, it was this song. So
yeah, man.
Let me grab this other guitar real quick. Uh-oh.
Now you're breaking stuff too.
Yeah.
I still haven't heard much movement upstairs, so I don't know what's going on up there.
Hey, man, this is a podcast without a net. That's what I always say.
We have fun. All right, man. Well, I'm going to give you the stage and let you do the songs back to back, dude.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off cam. All right.
Called Girl in It. The car wash on the corner. There's a boy about 17 spending every ashtray quarter trying to get that Chevy clean. If he plays his cards right, by 8 o'clock tonight, there'll be a girl in it. He'll put on the slow, she'll play hard to get, and make him work all night for that front porch kiss. When he goes home to sleep and drifts into a dream, there'll be a girl in it. They're wild, they make porch swings and half-carry rings, Carolina sunsets and California kings. If your heart's on fire, if everything's spinning, if you're going out of your mind, I bet there's a girl in it. Yeah. There's a Romeo at an airport, dozen roses in his hand, waiting by the window for that big old bird to land. 'Cause that 737 dropping down from heaven got a girl in it. They're wild, they make porch swings and half-carry rings, Carolina sunsets and California kings. If your heart's on fire, if everything's spinning, if you're going out of your mind, I bet there's a girl in it. Ooh, yeah. There's a fool on a bar stool, soaking up regret. He knows he ought to slow down, but he ain't done it yet. There's something in that glass that makes him forget the past with that girl in it. They're why they make JD and neon lights, smoke rolling slow while that sad steel slides. If your heart's on fire, if everything's spinning, if you're going out of your mind, I bet there's a girl in it. Ooh, yeah. So that's Girl in It. And I appreciate all the comments over here. I appreciate it. Leanne, I sure hope so.
Dude, that was fire. I just had to say that was fire.
Thanks, man.
Love that.
Thank you. I'm just going to head on into
Oh, yeah.
an existing number one, which is Does to Me, one of my favorite songs I've ever been a part of. So I'll do it a little different, man. This is kind of how we wrote it, this little finger picking thing. So I was a third string dreamer on a second place team, but I was hell on wheels with a full head of steam when coach put me in. And I'm still proud of that, yeah. I was the last resort, go to prom with the queen, thanks to an ex-boyfriend. Broke her heart that a week, no, I didn't get lucky, but I still felt like a king. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me. So say I'm a middle of the road, not much to show, an underachieving average Joe, but I'm a hell of a lover, a damn good brother, and I wear this heart on my sleeve. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me. I was the one phone call when my brother went to jail, had to pawn my guitar just to pay his bail. No, I'll never get it back, but I'm okay with that. I was first man standing next to my best friend, the day the love of his life said I'd do to him. I was a couple beers deep, but I still remember that speech. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me. So say I'm a middle of the road, not much to show, an underachieving average Joe, but I'm a hell of a lover, a damn good brother, and I wear this heart on my sleeve. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me. There's a worn out blade my granddaddy gave me. Mama's first Bible, daddy's Don Williams Bible. That first fish catching zip code 33. Well, it might not mean much to you, but it does to me. So say I'm a middle of the road, not much to show, an underachieving average Joe, but I'm a hell of a lover, a damn good brother, and I wear this heart on my sleeve. A damn hard of working, yeah, one thing's for certain, I stand up for what I believe. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me, does to me. And that might not mean much to you, but it does to me.
Dude, I love that version. I love like just I want to hear one day, man. I want to be like you on stage singing that, and the church walks out and just does his line.
That would be awesome.
Get you to sing with him one day, dude. That'd be badass to hear that. So, but Ray, man, thank you so much for taking the last hour of your night and spending some time with me. I know we've been talking about it for a year. I think it's been the best time to do it tonight. So,
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for your passion for music and for church and new artists. So,
hell yeah, man. Dude, I can't wait to see. Like I mentioned in the intro, dude, that bullet out of a gun, dude. You're once this whole thing's over, your whole career is just going to take off. So I can't wait to see it.
thanks
Something
so
I've told some other artist, Christopherson once told church, and it's something I always tell people is the faster your career rises to the top, the faster it goes back to the bottom. So always remember that, dude. I love that phrase, that saying, and it's one of my favorite things I've always heard. So, but I love where you're going and how you're doing it. So best of luck to you, brother.
Hey, thanks so much, man.
All right, dude. We'll see you. Hey, in November, if everything happens, you're going to be in Chicago in November. I'm going to be at that show. So I'm going to make sure of it.
I'll see you there, my man.
All right, dude. You have a good night, man.
You too.
Ha.
See you, buddy.
That was an amazing show, guys. Thank you so much for everything tonight. That was, God, we had, I think, almost 50, 60 viewers. Let me see if I can throw your camera up now.
See if it doesn't screw up.
But thank you
Make
guys
sure you
so
mute me.
much. Yeah. Let me see if I can do this. Mute you. There we go.
There we go.
Now it works. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in tonight and sharing the love for stars tonight. I saw we got a lot of stars. So thank you guys so much for all of that, for the growth and the support of the show. Tonight was the season finale, our 75th episode. I cannot believe I've done 75 of these.
That's crazy. I remember when you started doing this too.
Yeah, I did. And I got pretty much my fourth season almost all the way booked. I only got like 10 or 11 more guests to finish up. And hopefully the next couple of days I'll have it. So look for an announcement March 19th for my fourth season. We are taking next week off. We're going to be back on Tuesday, March 23rd for our season 4 premiere. And I'll be announcing that soon. I do want to wish Jason best of luck in Texas. I know
Man.
It's going to be fun. I mean, tonight's your anniversary and you're still here.
Right,
too,
it's my wedding
happy
anniversary tonight. Yeah, my wife told me to tell you you're lucky that she let me come tonight. But I told her it was season ender. It was my last night coming. It's all good.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm sorry I'm not going to continue doing this with you. Maybe while I'm in Texas, we can hook up and every now and then bring me in on it. That'd be fun.
Megan, a huge fan of Singleton, man. I have been a diehard Singleton fan ever since I kind of first ran into the church. So, yeah, huge Singleton fan. Little White Lies was one of my favorites off there. God, you and I could sit here and talk Singleton forever. Go back. I had him on. Like a year or so ago, but definitely go back and listen to that podcast. It's one of my favorites. Tonight was probably one of the best ones I've done in a while. I loved connecting with Ray, hearing the stories and just everything else about him. If you're looking for anywhere to find Ray, look at the show notes for tonight's show in the description for the show. You can find everything out there for him. So
Caroline, thank you very much.
I saw that. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
We'll have to share.
Yeah, thank you.
Once you get down in Texas, we'll have to share your radio station. So if anybody's down there, or anything, they can listen to you.
Yep. I officially start April 15th.
Oh, look at that. So yeah, and then we have my wife filling, and we'll see how this goes. Last time she filled in, her phone went off in the middle of the podcast. Tonight, her phone died in the middle
Tonight
of
it died.
podcast. So
And she stopped listening to everything. Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, Megan, definitely go back and check out the Singleton one. It was one of my favorites. Tomorrow afternoon or so, we will have Ray Fulcher's episode live and up on all streaming platforms. So if you guys are still out there listening and watching, please go ahead and download it if you can. If you are an iPhone user and could give us a 5-star review, and over on what is that called now? Apple Podcast. They change it every week. So over on Apple Podcast. And if you want, check out our Patreon tonight if you can. Tiers start at just $1. Everybody that joins the private sponsor tier at $5 is entered into our monthly giveaways, our monthly freebies. That is including what you see on the show tonight. You get 2 t-shirts out of Ray's catalog. He has now EP, Acoustic, and dude, that Jeremy Spillman book. If you guys have not checked it out, Divine Devils, amazing. But yeah, guys, definitely check that out. And thank you guys for the continued support, growth, everything of this show.
Oh, the stars that you guys sent tonight.
Yeah,
that
amazing.
Was so awesome. So awesome.
And,
thank you all so much.
Let me know who you guys want to see on the next season. So I got some really, like I said, some really good ones I've been working on. Trying to definitely branch out and see what we can do. So help grow this podcast a little bit more and keep it going upwards. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us tonight on episode 75 with Ray Fulcher. It's been amazing to watch his career up to this point. One thing I love about Ray is his dedication to what he loves. And I think what his drive is, the sky's endless for him. So next week we are taking the week off, like I said. But watch out for that season 4 announcement on March 19th. We'll go ahead and play that outro.
Sure, I can do that.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
The Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.